There's a lot of scripts out there and a lot of script writing tutorials, but here are some things that I've found practical when writing my scripts. My first tip, which sounds overly basic, is simple. Just start. If you have an idea, write it down and start. It's better to get information out of your head and onto some device or a piece of paper just so you can remember it, just in case you forgot, because I sometimes wake up with an idea in my head in the middle of the night, and I actually have a notebook by my bed, and I'll write that note down, go back to bed and follow through with it the next day or the next week and see, do I still love this idea? Am I excited to expand on this idea? Is this idea worth it? And if you can confidently say yes, keep going. Or if you have a hint of curiosity and want to develop whatever that is, go for it. But every now and then I come across something where I wake up the next day and I'm like, what did I just write? Never mind, and that's okay. So choose the projects you want to develop, because realistically, especially if you're writing a feature film or a TV series, it's going to take a lot of labor and a lot of love. Draw from life. Draw from your own experiences. If that's something you've never experienced, interview someone who does. If that's not accessible, if it's in the past or if it's in a future that doesn't yet exist, consider how the society functions, how the person feels. Don't just draw from other movies. Other movies, say you're writing a crime. It's great to watch crime movies, analyze the stakes, the runtime, the production design, the themes, the feeling. These things are helpful, but don't stop there. Consider real-life crimes, consider crimes in novels, consider fictional scenarios in your own head. If you just draw from other movies, it's going to feel and taste like those other movies. Great, so you've started. Now figure out what the best format to showcase this idea is. Is it a short film or a music video? Is it a succinct and simple idea that shouldn't be dragged out but is told very simply? Or is it a feature film, which typically is something that runs from over 70 minutes onwards? Or is it a TV series, again, which spreads it out even more? Could be a limited series, could be an ongoing series with a cliffhanger at the end. Just figure out how far you want to explore this idea. If you're unsure, just start writing and see where the writing takes you. Bullet points. My next tip is bullet points. This is how I think. You may think differently, but it's helpful to structure a beginning, middle, and end for your story, especially when writing my feature films. I've just written my thoughts in very brief bullet points to begin with, and it's almost like moving puzzle pieces around and trying to find what sits best, what puzzle pieces can be removed that aren't completing the picture well enough, that seem like filler, what puzzle pieces can be added to tie a character together or tie a moment together. For shorts and music videos, just start writing. I like to call this my vomit page. First, you get it all out of your system, then you clean it up and see what's left. When writing a feature or a TV series, bullet points are amazing to just start with for your own brain, to organize your ideas and see where you want this story to end. Knowing your ending will help your vision and your direction when writing these longer pieces. Then once your bullet points are set, maybe have a peer review or two. You can also ask your peer reviews to search for peer reviews or just talk to a friend. It doesn't even have to be a screenwriter or a film person. If you're making this film for a general audience, feel free to figure out who is your target audience. It's best, I find, to write something you love and you enjoy and you would genuinely want to watch as an audience member. For this is the piece you're investing your time into, and you want to at least relate with an aspect of it. Even if it's a piece for children, think back to your own childhood, what you enjoyed as a kid. Once you've figured out who your target audience is, chat with them. Target audience is an age range and more, not just children or adults, but horror lovers, cadaver enthusiasts. Find out more about what they love and why they love it and what they want to see in a film. If you've got your dot points as well, and you're confident enough, feel free to talk through the general story beats and say, does this make sense? Is this accurate? This is also a form of research. For example, if one of your characters goes to the hospital or is even like a doctor working in the ER, find a doctor who's working in the ER, not during ER, but interview them and ask, is this realistic? What procedure would you do next? Once your story structure has been looked over by one or two or a few people and you yourself as the screenwriter feel confident about the story, the next phase is scriptwriting. There's plenty of videos on how to format a screenplay. I'll leave them in description. I personally love fade in. That is really simple. It doesn't distract me from writing and I can just get to it. It's very intuitive. The other popular screenwriting application in the industry is Final Draft. If you want to get your head around it, go for it. But if you just want to write quickly for free, I recommend Celtex for a one-time payment, fade in, and go from there.
Tell me where your boss is! I ain't telling you nothing! Tell me! Over my dead body!
Know your characters. How do they grow and change across your film? Rarely are characters stagnant. For rarely, we learn nothing. If there's a good reason for that, great. Consider how your character develops through the tension and the challenges presented to them.
What's the difference between a pizza and a musician?
Yeah.
A pizza can feed a family.
My favorite thing to write is dialogue. This may not be for everybody, but I love to see how my characters interact with each other. What they do and don't say is so powerful. A fun exercise I've found helpful for the features I've written is a character interview and a character profile. So character profile boils down, who is this character? Things as, what's their age? Where'd they grow up? What languages do they speak? And any relevant things to your story. For example, in the current feature film I'm writing, Secret Family Recipe, it centers on family, as you may have guessed. So one of the questions I've asked my characters is, what's your relationship like with your family? And then I write as if I'm interviewing this character. I picture them in my mind and think about how they would answer that question. What would they say? How much would they say? Some of them respond simply. Some of them are defensive. Some of them are really open. Keeping in mind their age and their education, you can begin to form how this character talks, how this character thinks and expresses themselves to others, to the interviewer, you in this case. That really helps me test, is my character consistent throughout my body of work? So I use that as a template. And then with scenes that I've written, compare, is the character consistent? Are they talking similarly? If not, is there an environmental reason? Are they scared? Are they overjoyed? Are they warming up to someone new? Find the rhythm and it will get easier and easier to write this character. When reading your dialogue aloud, ask, do these all sound like me? Or are these different voices? If it's the latter, fantastic. If it's the former, unless it's a monologue, go back to your character sheet and compare.
Stop it! Stop it!
Speak out loud. One other thing with dialogue, it's meant to be spoken. It's not just meant to be read on the page. So, as I'm writing, I will mouth or talk these words. Even if this character is 70 years old from the 1900s, I might not talk like this, but I need to see, does the writing flow? Is it clunky? Are there too many hesitations? Is it the way the words sound? Are there too many words at once? This is amazing to test with an actor friend or just anyone, really, so you can have that dialogue and talk to each other and double check that they also find the dialogue at a great and natural place, or a place that suits the genre you're writing for. Especially when you've been writing a feature for months, it's great to have a pair of fresh eyes to give you some feedback and see some things you may have overlooked. And once you get this peer review, take it to heart with a grain of salt. You are still a writer. You are the one who's going to understand your story the most. If it feels right in your gut, keep it. Action. Writing action. Action is simply anything that is not said in your screenplay. This is different to a novel where we can hear a character's thoughts or know exactly how they're feeling. Action is visual language, with the exception of a narration from the character or hearing into the character's mind. Not all films contain devices like that. And by visual language, I mean her brows furrow, his eyes dart around the room, rather than she contemplates to herself, should I be angry about the situation? Or he's super scared. How do we visually know our character is scared? Again, feel free to vomit and clean up, and sometimes less is more. Descriptive language can be helpful for actors to get into character or feel a certain way. Remember, in a screenplay, it's not a novel. These are different formats. And a screenplay is not the final form. Your story will change during the writing phase, again during the production phase where it's filmed or animated, and in the post-production phase where it's edited and trimmed and music is added and the effects could be added. Your story will continue to develop over time. And as a writer, it's helpful to give parameters to that, but also be lenient.
Wait!
Consider production budget and producers. This sounds like a daunting one. Don't look into it too deeply. If you want to write for fun, just start writing. Don't worry about how much it's going to cost. But if you are set on writing a film for a production company or a set budget, for example, if it's your first feature, you might want to write something that is achievable under $5 million. Consider the number of actors, the number of extras, the number of locations, how feasible those locations are. Is it a church that's accessible and exists? Or is it a medieval castle that doesn't exist in Australia? Is it on Mars, which we'll have to simulate? That will cost a lot more funds than, say, a park or a house. Consider the setting. Present day is generally always the cheapest, as there's the most accessible wardrobe here and now. 10, 20, 30 years back, still highly accessible through op shops and thrifting. But either way, deep into the future or far into the past, it's going to become more expensive again. Don't let this stop your creativity. Don't let this hinder your writing. Just be aware if you want this story to be seen on screen. Of course, with animation, your imagination can be limitless. Your only factor is time. Motivation, especially when I'm writing a feature film. Some days I feel super motivated, other days not so much. This is a marathon, not a sprint, just remember. How I cope with this is micro goals. Sometimes I'll just set for myself, write one sentence today. That is your only goal. It is achievable, so do it. Happy writing!